sacrifice. Let them feast with joy in the Lord.
Sing Lord, sing Lord, hallelujah. And his years as sing Lord, hallelujah.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early in the morning, while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they put him." So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial clothes there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial clothes there, and the cloth that had been covering his head. Not with the burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who had arrived at the tomb first, and he saw and believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The Lord is risen, indeed he is risen. The resurrection has an effect, not only in the lives of those who believe, but those who believe know that it has an effect in everything. In the cosmos, everything that God created and everything that life stands for has a new meaning after the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. Our life may seem like doom if we do not hold on to the resurrection and the belief in the resurrection. I was reading a study that came out, one of those studies that, I don't know if they have a scientific value, that they discovered that lobsters do not suffer much when they die. You know, they're delicious though. I was allergic to lobsters until I discovered I was not. And then, but the study said and affirmed that lobsters do not feel that they're dying when you're going to boil them. I'm glad they did the study, but at the same time, if you come to think about it, what happens to us? What do we look at when we don't comprehend the meaning of life itself? We begin to study lobsters and see whether they suffer or not. But we don't introspect into the human spirit to see why are we alive and why do we suffer. We know that we're alive and we know that we're going to die, and that causes fear in us. Lobsters don't think like that. They're just alive. But for us, there is an existential reality that pulls us to within and asks the question, what is life at all? Why are we here? Why isn't just somebody else? Those existential questions ponder in our hearts every day, and the resurrection gives answer to them. So that the resurrection is not just something nice to have in the books, but it has to have an effect in the way that we lead our lives as well. In the way that life is perceived as well. For those of us who hold on to the resurrection. You know, it's just a symbol, it's something that happens, but it has to have an effect in our life, in the reality of life. What happens to us And I think what happens to many of us, even as Christians, as we claim ourselves as Christians to be, that we do not hold on to the resurrection as we may have our doubts, perhaps. We see Peter and John running to the tomb. And we don't know if they were running with hope, but there was joy in their hearts. There was the expectation, the knowing that Jesus rose from the dead. And what will they find when they get there? The same thing that we will find today. I went to the Holy Land a couple years ago and had the privilege of going into the empty tomb, the tomb where Jesus resurrected. It wasn't empty. There were a lot of people. We had to wait 2 hours in line. You feel like you were in Disneyland. You know, just to go in. I was there for 4 seconds inside the tomb. You know, one thing is that if you go into the tomb, you're going to have some kind of existential awakening, and you're going to be in touch with some kind of spiritual reality. And no, I got my hair on the way out. You know, they didn't have that mystical experience as one would think. Then you got to see other places, and it's crowded. People pushing around and wanting to see, but we all went to see an empty tomb. A fact of our faith is that we do not follow someone who's buried somewhere. Others do that. Other religions follow their prophets, and you can go to the tomb and see this is the burial place of so-and-so. To an extent, we do the same. You go to St. Peter's Basilica, and on the basement, not the basement, the crypt, they have the burial places of all the popes. We go to churches, we go to cemeteries, and we honor the dead because that is where their lifeless bodies remain. But Jesus rose from the dead and his tomb is empty. That changes the meaning of death for all of us. The resurrection either happened or didn't happen. It's not a in-between thing that you just pick up your things and say, well, it's a nice thought. It's a nice thought. It has to have a deeper effect in each one of us, because if anyone who's losing a loved one understands what death is, we have to be in touch with that. I think what happens is that we live infantile spirituality. Not like children, like Jesus said, we gotta be like children to enter the kingdom of heaven, but we're childish. Spirituality is being reduced to neediness, to satisfy what we feel we might need. That's our spirituality. Childish, in the sense that we're preoccupied and we worry about things that are not touched by the reality of the resurrection. It is like St. Paul told the Colossians on the second reading today. Brothers and sisters, if you then were raised with Christ, seek what is above. Our perspective of life changes. If we believe that the resurrection happened and that we're going to be raised from the dead, we cannot live life as it didn't happen. We cannot keep worrying about the things that are around us and the reality, whether this is going to be here or not, about lobsters and stuff. We cannot worry about things like that. Our reality has to have an existential change. I am alive. I will die. And I will raise from the dead. It has to have a personal change as well. What happens in an immature spirituality many times for us, we're childish in our spirituality. Not only we reduce it to neediness, but then we get suffocated. Our faith is suffocated by the things that are around us, the worries around us, the gloom of death that we'll all face. Has no more meaning. That's it. If there is no resurrection, my brothers and sisters, why life at all? Some say, well, we have to be nice and kind to everyone. But why? If they're just dying cells. We can look at it that way. If there is no resurrection, we can just try to see our existence and our life and try to answer what is it for. The reality of the fact is that we're just dying cells. We get up in the morning and we move around and we do things precisely because of the resurrection. resurrection, of the hope of the resurrection is in us, and that is why we move. We walk around, we see strangers, and we say hello to them. Why? Because of the resurrection. There is no other reason. It's because we believe that our actions, our behavior, our interactions with other people have eternal consequences. Why are we kind? Why do we forgive those who harm us? Because of the resurrection. If not, we might as well not do it. We're just living cells, dying cells, like lobsters. No, it's because there is a dignity in each one of us that the Lord has promised us that He will give us eternal life. It's on that conviction that everything we do in life is precisely touched by that. And that, my brothers and sisters, touches to the very existence. But those are our childish ways when we worry about things that we shouldn't be worried about because of the resurrection. However, how are we to mature as Christians? How one is a mature Christian? Well, we seek holiness. The first thing that we have to do in order for us to attain that is to recognize our mortality, that we will die. Not in a massive scale, but one, I will die. What would happen to the world when I'm not here? What is my existence in this world has to do while I'm here? I was watching a documentary on Hiroshima, the nuclear explosion, and in the documentary they describe what happened to people who were close to the bomb blast. A nuclear explosion is not like any other explosion. It is basically a flash of light and destroys everything within reach. And it moves as fast as light. So people who are immediately affected by it don't even feel a thing. And don't even see anything. So they were describing that reality, and people were walking around in Hiroshima, and the moment that the bomb blasted, in a microsecond, people were touched by it, and they disintegrated so fast that their shadows were emblazoned in the concrete and the walls and the metal around them. So they can tell you exactly, someone was standing here, and the only thing remaining, said the documentary, was their shadow. And they immediately, said a scientist, ceased to exist. The only thing left was the shadow. That's what people tell us. We don't believe that. We don't believe that if a bomb were to explode, we just leave shadows behind. We're more than shadows. For God created each one of us for all eternity. He didn't make us so that we just leave a shadow behind. He made us and He gave us life eternal so that we can tell others. What brings gloom to the world, suffering in the world, is precisely the fact that people are not convinced that Jesus rose from the dead. As Christians, we have a moral and a theological obligation to let them know that death does not have the last word. That any suffering that they're going through life needs to be enlightened by the light of Jesus Christ. That He rose from the dead. Those who are destitute, the poor, need to know that they're destitute no longer, and their suffering shouldn't be there because Jesus rose from the dead. Those who suffer from loneliness, those who suffer from mental illness, they need to know that Jesus rose from the dead. Everyone needs to know that Jesus rose from the dead. Those who suffer the loss of a loved one need to know and have a conviction that Jesus rose from the dead so that their life changes. That's our job. That's our vocation. That's our mission. That is what St. Peter said in the first reading. He commissioned us to preach to the God people and to testify that He is the one appointed by God as judge of the living and the dead. That is the proclamation of the gospel. We need to let everyone know that Jesus rose from the dead. If not, my brothers and sisters, we're not convinced, then what are we doing here today? What are we doing at all? Flannery O'Connor, a Southern Catholic writer, she tells a story that she went to visit one of her friends, a pseudo-friend, who was not Catholic, someone who left the church when they were 15 and didn't understand the Catholic faith very well. So she had coffee and breakfast with them. She described the conversation as being very awkward. She, being a Catholic writer, sitting down with an intellectual who was non-Catholic. So they're trying to find common ground, and she said that she felt they had over for breakfast, and she felt they had a dog over because she couldn't talk the whole time that she was there. Trying to make polite conversation, one of the hosts told her about the Eucharist, and she, being a Catholic, felt that she had to defend the doctrine of the Eucharist. So they told her that the Eucharist, that this friend of hers said, the Eucharist was, when she received it, she first thought it was the Holy Ghost that she was receiving because he was the most portable of all persons in the Trinity. Who thinks like that? I mean, come to think about it. Who thinks like that? The Holy Spirit is the most portable, so it must be the Holy Spirit in the host. And Flannery O'Connor, she was very blunt. She said, the friend said that the Eucharist is a symbol, a very nice symbol. And that's when she talked. She says with trepidation, which meant she was nervous. And she said, if the Eucharist is just a symbol, to hell with it. I like that. Some people were offended. Another priest put it in his blog, and some people wrote under it and said, that's kind of offensive for those who are not Catholic. Is that true? I mean, obviously, if I believe that Jesus is present in the Eucharist, and I believe that his body, blood, soul, and divinity is there, my whole life hinges on it. If someone comes and tells me, oh, it's just a symbol to make us all feel better, and try to find common ground in it, to help with it. One doesn't give one life for a symbol. The same thing applies to the resurrection. If the resurrection is something nice to tell people when they die, so they feel better about it, then what are we doing? What is the resurrection? Does it have an effect in my life so that I can transform something, or is it just fluff? It's either one thing or the other. Obviously, we hold that the resurrection happened, and it is true. But if we need to have the conviction in order to proclaim it to everyone, to let everybody know. Otherwise, why bother? Why bother? We give our lives for this resurrection. And every marvelous thing that happens in this parish, in our community, in the church at large, is precisely because of the resurrection. We Christians make a difference in the world precisely because of the resurrection. This is the largest feast in the church because it's the one that promises us eternal life. We ask the Lord in his kindness to look upon us, to make us aware of the resurrection. In moments of sorrow, in moments of pain, that we do not lose sight of the love and tenderness that God has for us. That he not only created us and left us to be shadows in this world, but that he made us, he continues to made us become, so that we may become light, that his Son is a light. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.